companies spent an estimated 9.6 billion rand on corporate social investment this year. According to CSI consultancy Trialogue, that's a 7% increase in rand terms compared to last year. So should we be celebrating? To discuss, we're joined by Cathy Duff, Director at Trialogue. Thank you for being with us, Cathy. So I understand this is the first increase in a while.
Yes, it's the first increase we've tracked in 5 years. So Trialogue's been doing the research into corporate social investment in South Africa for 21 years. And we actually saw significant growth between 2007 and 2014, and that's when growth dropped off and actually declined for a while.
So it doesn't actually link to when we had an economic crisis.
No, it was interesting that now when the economy is really bad, we've actually seen an increase, and we interviewed 74 of the largest companies in South Africa, and over 60% of them said that they increased their spend last year. And they said the reason for that was because of project needs and the requirements in the country. So it does look like it's actually delinked, and we're encouraged to see that it's growing in real terms again.
Yeah, but 7%, I mean, we're hardly keeping up with inflation. So
exactly, it's a small growth in real terms.
Yeah.
But at least it is a growth, because for the previous 4 years we've seen either a decline or we've seen flat growth in real terms.
So what is the cause? So you're saying people are just seeing a need, but we know companies don't spend money always out of philanthropy or altruism.
Yes.
They need to know that there's some sort of sense to it.
So when we ask companies the reason for their expenditure on CSI, the primary reason that we get, at least from CSI practitioners themselves, is that it's a moral imperative. The secondary reasons, which you're talking about, the return for the business, are around reputational benefits as well as compliance with the BEE scorecard. So there are obviously business benefits with it that drive continued use, saying that the primary reason is the moral imperative, and we did see companies giving even before the advent of the scorecard.
Yeah. So where's the money going?
So we track where the money goes in terms of development sectors, and most of it, well, over 90% of the companies that we survey support projects in the education space. And roughly 44% of expenditures going to education projects. So that's the sector that's receiving by far the most corporate money.
And I guess you can say that is good business, because investing in young people who are going to work for business in
future. It's aligned to, firstly, it's a significant need in the country, and secondly, it's aligned to the needs of the business. They're building a future talent pipeline, building the skills of the future.
What are the initiatives that work? I know some companies give bursaries for young people who will actually work for them. That seems to be a win-win situation.
Yes, so companies do provide a lot of support at tertiary level with bursaries, and it's interesting to think how that's going to change with the advent now of fee-free tertiary education. And we speak a little bit about that in our publication.
So the need is less, so what does that mean then?
So I think it means shifting support to wraparound services, because even at a tertiary level, you've got quite a significant dropout and not a very good throughput rate. So corporates can support through the wraparound services at a tertiary level, including mentorship, bridging programs, other assistance outside of just fees.
Yeah.
But corporates, the most of that education spend, actually around 50% of it, goes to school level funding. So corporates are supporting programs at both the foundation phase and the secondary phase.
We know as a country we spend so much on education, sometimes with very poor outcomes. So that's the need. But does this suggest that there are at least good initiatives that companies are noticing? Okay, we can put our money there and that money will work. It'll do what it's meant to do.
There's some great individual initiatives that companies are doing in the education space, focused on maths and science, focused on literacy, but none of them are changing the system. So a couple of years ago, there was a collaborative initiative launched called the National Education Collaboration Trust, which is a collaboration between the private sector, government, the unions, really looking at how can we shift the system. And so there's some interesting work happening there at a district level where they're trying different interventions.
So if anyone's watching, what is the one NGO that you would suggest supporting that will give you bang for your buck?
So we actually ask that question of our survey respondents each year. And the two NGOs that came out top in terms of our research were Africa Tikkun and Gift of the Givers this year.
Yeah, Gift of the Givers, good.
So that's the perception that we have from our research respondents. Obviously, if you're looking at education, it's a different set of non-profits.
Okay, we have to leave it there, but very interesting. And long may it last. Thank you very much. So corporate social investment going up by 7%. That was the director at Trialogue, Cathy Duff.